Hello, my renegades. Welcome back to Rogue Radio. My name is Sarah Jane, and today is Renegade Times. Honestly, I don't know what we're going to be talking about. I just really wanted to tell you guys that don't watch the new Mean Girls movie. Go ahead on Netflix if you got it, and watch season 1 and 2 of Alawabi School for Girls, because holy fuck. Sorry, I told myself I wasn't going to cuss this year. Oh my goodness. Is that better? It's like Mean Girls and Degrassi on crack, okay? If you like drama, if you like murder and all this other stuff, like it's awesome, okay? It's not like anything patty cake like Mean Girls would. It does touch upon like bullying, cyberbullying and stuff like that. The whole purpose of the show is to kind of like inform girls not to, hurt each other. They're supposed to support each other and all this other stuff, like girl power stuff. Things that I'm usually not familiar with. But I love it because the reason why they made the show was to show girls that what they say and do can really hurt someone, to the point of death. And it is something that I will say is a trigger warning for some people, because the second season for me did really trigger me. I couldn't, I don't know how to say it. It was just triggering for me because I've gone through something like that, like the last episode, like I've gone through that before. So, the last episode of season 2 really, really, really got me. But I watched the whole second season last night. I was binging, and I loved it. It was perfect. The first season, I will always love. They brought the old characters from the first season into the second season for one episode, for like a memorial for the last girl that like lost their life in the first season. It was so heartbreaking, but it was also just beautifully done. They really know how to produce a really good show of what all these girls go through in this day and age. And I'm not saying not to, go and watch the new Mean Girls. I honestly don't know why they decided to reproduce Mean Girls. No reason whatsoever. Okay? Listen, Rachel McAdams will always be my Regina George. I don't care. I don't care. Lindsay Lohan will always be my Katie Heron. Stop, okay? Stop remaking things. Because to me, like, the remakes that you guys have, that we have, like, in the theaters, it's just being regurgitated. It's the same content being regurgitated, but, and it doesn't make room for any of the real creative people, that make really good content. And, that to me is like an insult to the people who have worked really hard to show somebody that it's what they have made is good, and it's made for a good cause, a good purpose. So that's why I say Alawabi School for Girls, okay, is amazing. It's on Netflix. And it's based in Jordan, the country, and it is perfect. I loved every minute of watching season 1 and 2. The music is perfect, the storylines and the characters are perfect, and all of it is made for a very good cause, to encourage girls to love each other, and it's just wonderful. Anyway, that's my PSA. Go watch it! Anyways, how's everybody doing? I know I haven't posted any content in a while. Spotify for Podcasters has actually partnered with Riverside, and I'm also trying to figure that out. I might start using my PC, or not my PC, but my laptop in order to do episodes. They make things so complicated. Ugh. Anyway, let's go to politics. There's plenty of them. Let's go. Alright, there has been a lot that has been happening in the news. Yesterday, the only time I ever watch the real, news on TV is at work. And the other day, I think it was yesterday, not yesterday, but Friday. I get my days mixed up because I'm going in tonight. I gotta work tonight. Anyway, yeah, Biden is in East Palestine trying to do the same thing that Trump did. So we're just gonna go ahead and figure out what's going on, because we haven't talked about East Palestine in a while. We're gonna go ahead and figure out what's going on here. Let's see. Biden visits East Palestine a year after train derailment changed the Ohio town. So, President Biden visited the small Ohio town in East Palestine on Friday, a little more than a year after the Norfolk Southern train derailed there and spilled hazardous chemicals. After meeting with local officials and getting a briefing from the Environment Protection Agency, Biden promised residents that the U.S. government would fulfill its obligation and remain in the area until the cleanup efforts were complete. I don't really know if they had any cleanup efforts, because when this first started, because after the news of East Palestine, getting all of that stuff and having the fallout and everything, then everything about East Palestine just kind of disappeared. All the news about East Palestine disappeared. You really have to look for that information in order to be informed, which is something that I feel is very irresponsible with the press. But I also know that there's more going on than just East Palestine, which I can understand too. But I feel like if you're really going to cover a story, at least follow through the whole story. You know what I mean? But yeah, after the news of East Palestine and all that stuff happened, we did find out that the politicians and the people, the official people, ended up not doing anything for a very long time. The soil was polluted, the water was polluted. None of the townspeople wanted to drink the water, even though the mayor said it was safe to drink and cook with. People were getting cancer, people were just not feeling well after all of that. And so, why Biden decided to come in now is kind of baffling, because the damage has already been done. But he praised the community's courage and resilience. He insisted the derailment would not define them. And the blasted Norfolk Southern... He blasted. For a second there, I thought I was reading something from a British article. But he blasted the Southern Norfolk train for not taking power. I'm sorry, why is my brain working like this? And he blasted Norfolk Southern for not taking proper precautions with its dangerous cargo. Let me be clear, while there are acts of God, this is an act of greed that is 100% preventable. Okay? I love how they have a picture of just Biden drinking a glass of water. It's just one of the funniest things you could ever see is Biden eating an ice cream cone, drinking something, or eating something at all. He just looks like a child that was just given a fucking snack. Anyway, no one died on February 3rd of the derailment, but soon people started feeling sick and reported experiencing headaches and other concerns. It led to increased worries and fears of long-term health risks. Yes, the thing is that with vinyl chloride, it does cause cancer in the bodies of people, and they were exposed to a lot of that, to a great amount of that. It also got burned up as to make a chemical fire, and it got released into the air. They were also breathing it. Not to mention they were drinking it. The people are infected. And that's the thing that I feel like Biden should take consideration into figuring out, oh my God, why can't I speak? Figuring out how to help the people who have been infected. Because I've talked about this before. I've actually talked about this before on one of Mantis's conspiracy hour lives that I was on with him, and we talked about forever chemicals and how some chemicals just never leave our bodies. I don't know if vinyl chloride is a forever chemical, but the fact that they were getting headaches and getting sick from all of this does tell me that they were infected, or they were influenced by this chemical in some sort of way to where their body reacted and was like, hey, something's not right. But we tested the air, water, and soil quality, Biden said, nothing noting ongoing research to study the short and long-term impacts of the spill. The thing is that it has already been tested, but the results was never released to the people. I mean, maybe that has changed since it's been, what? I want to say a year now? Almost a year? So yeah, I don't know. Biden had promised to visit soon after the derailment and was faced... Rick, shut up. And has faced criticism for not visiting sooner. Especially from Republicans, including former President Donald Trump, who made a trip to the community shortly after the disaster. Biden emphasized that, or as he often does, that the administration works for all Americans, whether they vote for him or not. Biden met with local affected residents and officials, including Trent Conway of the town's mayor, who had been critical of Biden. On Friday, Conway noted that the visit had been long awaited, and said that he wanted to focus on things we agree with, such as long-term health concerns for the town and its economic health. We will not be defined by the single event, rather by our response to it and our perseverance, Conway said. Biden promised to hold the train operator accountable. My administration ordered Norfolk Southern to clean up the mess it created and ensure that it was done right. That includes an executive order I signed to continue our priority to hold Norfolk Southern fully accountable for the disaster and any long-term effects that are able to be identified as time goes on. Okay. Okay, so next up. Next thing in order. I wish I had like a gavel so I could just go. Anyway, the Trump trial that's going on. Gotta cover that. Anyway, they will not get away with it. Trump attorney unloads after stunning New York fraud verdict. Former President Donald Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, I hope I said her name right. It sounds right. Anyway, slammed Judge Arthur Engoron, and New York Attorney General Letitia James on Friday, following a stunning judgment against Trump in a controversial civil fraud case brought by James. Engoron? That sounds like something you would hear from, like, Dragon... What is that called? Dragon Veil? Dragon something? Some sort of dragon movie that me and my husband watched. It sounds like an old Elizabethan, like, last word. Like, Lord of Engoron ordered Trump to pay more than $350 million barred him from doing business in New York for 3 years and fined his sons Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, more than $4 million each. Damn, what they do? What his sons do? What did his sons do of all things? Like, can you elaborate on what his sons did? Damn. I mean, I don't know what their sons do, like Melania and Donald's sons do. Trust me, I don't know. But leave them alone. Anyway, I think the biggest message I can give the American people tonight is that he's not going to get away with it, Habba said of Engoron on Fox News. Letitia James is not going to get away with it. The Biden administration is not going to get away with it. Now at the trial, or now that the trial has, now that the trial was over, she felt free to speak. Habba made it clear that the legal team will come at them, come hard, and will literally fight until the truth comes out. They will not get away with it, the attorney continued. President Trump has done nothing wrong. All he has done is win a campaign, and that is scaring them because they know when he goes back in November 2024, he is going to clean house, and that is truly a problem. Truly the problem. It's not about Mar-a-Lago's-Worth. Okay. Let's see here. Trump was accused by James of making misleading financial statements to banks to secure better terms on loans. The defense team stood by the evaluations and highlighted that all the loans were repaid, and there were no victims of supposed financial fraud. Habba has some harsh words for James, whom she said was in the courtroom with her shoes off. Wait, what? Why? Sipping Starbucks. See, okay, I'm sorry. This is the problem, okay? Okay, what is with 2024 being so freaking strange? Okay, what is with lawyers being stupid and strange? I just don't understand it. Listen, I don't care about Sniper Wolf, and I know you guys are probably gonna be like, what the hell is she doing? You know, mentioning Sniper Wolf and Sausage, like, they divorced, right? And Sausage is trying to get, like, all of his rights within the divorce, like all of his, you know, creative and intelligent, license on everything that he has done for her, because she basically paid him to do her videos and edit everything and stuff like that. Anyway, her lawyer comes out in a subpoena talking about a baseball bat and the ball and how much the ball would cost compared to a baseball bat, which is very unclassy in the courtroom. You have to be literal whenever you talk about a certain issue between two people in order to make things fair and everything. So the fact that the attorney was talking about some sort of hypothetical question is very rare for like a lawyer, an attorney to do, which to me sounds like the attorney was inexperienced. And now that I find out that Latita James was just sitting there with her freaking shoes off, gross, okay? Nasty. Nobody wants to see your damn crusty ass feet in the courtroom. I am surprised that the judge did not yell at her for doing that. And she's sipping Starbucks. Are you a Gen Zer? Ma'am, how the hell did you get your license, your law degree? Okay, how did you pass the bar exam? Okay, you're supposed to look proper, okay? And people need to take you fucking seriously in the courtroom. And if you got your goddamn shoes off, okay, and you're sipping Starbucks, ain't nobody gonna take you damn seriously, ma'am. Okay? Stop. Okay. Miss James had her shoes off in court, Haba said. She had a Starbucks coffee in her hand, and she wasn't doing work. She wasn't sitting at the counsel table. She was in the back with her shoes off and a coffee. This is why people just don't take things like this seriously, because of this shit. You just let me stop. You just made yourself look awful in the courtroom. People are going to be laughing at you for days, and that's going to be your damn fault. But anyway, let's change the subject. So, you know, when Kamala Harris comes into the news, you know I gotta cover her fucking ass. Let's go. We found something. We found a nugget somewhere in Daily Wire. Anyway, Kamala Harris ignored recommendation to investigate fraud allegations against company linked to husband report. Okay. Vice President Kamala Harris ignored recommendations while Attorney General of California to investigate an alleged pyramid scheme at a company linked to her husband. I didn't even know she was married, but then again, all of these witches have to be married in order to, control stuff. It always ends up starting in the home before it gets into politics. All these awful women. I don't know, is Maxine Waters even... Listen, it's, Ocasio-Cortez. She is also, married. Nancy Pelosi is married, and now Kamala Harris is married. All of these awful women have to have a man to control. Because if you control the man of the household, you're able to control anything. And that's terrible. That's what a Jezebel does. But you know what? We're not here to talk about spirituality. We're here to talk about politics. Alright? So let's just go back into this one. The Post reported on Saturday that it had documents showing that Harris discounted recommendations from staff to investigate Herbalife. Herbalife? Wow. Okay. In 2015, over pyramid scheme, suspicions that suspicions at the same time. Her husband, Doug Emhoff, worked at a law firm that represented Herbalife. Herbalife is a Los Angeles-based dietary supplement company that was sued by the Federal Trade Commission in 2016 over accusations that the company was lying to customers about how much money they would make selling Herbalife products. Anyway, while she was Attorney General, Harris was given a memo from her staff saying that Herbalife was engaging in a number of tactics designed to maximize the number of distributors selling its products, which results in cash flow back to those at the top of the organizational pyramid, according to a March 2015 document based on the Post. The memo was written by Supervising Deputy Attorney General Judith Fiorentini, and Deputy Attorneys General Sana Singer and Jinsuk Otha. They said that there was a need for formal investigative authority to look into whether Herbalife was trying to skirt around product distribution regulations. Harris's staff wanted to interview former Herbalife distributors, subpoena company documents, and begin an undercover investigation. They wanted 2 deputy attorneys allocated to look into the company. Conducting an investigation of Herbalife at this juncture will send the message that this office takes continued monitoring and enforcement of its existing judgments very seriously, the memo reads. In addition, it will ensure Herbalife is held accountable for the acts of its distributors. Despite their staff's urging, Harris did not open up an investigation into Herbalife. Meanwhile, Emhoff worked at a Venable LLP, which represented Herbalife after it was sued by the FTC. Emhoff? Is it Emhoff or Emhoff? Daily Wire, you got one with an H and one without an H. Okay? You can't be be doing that. I love you, Daily Wire, but y'all need to get your shit together with that. Emhoff did not personally represent Herbalife, though he was head of Los Angeles branch of Venable. In 2016, Herbalife settled with the FTC, agreeing to pay customers $200 million and restructure its business. Pershing Square CEO Bill Ackman, who previously shorted Herbalife back in 2012, pointed out that on Thursday, the ties between Emhoff and Herbalife. He also critiqued Harris's decision not to investigate the company. So she basically said that, we're going to interview this and subpoena that, and they didn't do it, right? That sounds like a typical Kamala. Where are you at the border, honey? What you doing? Nothing. That's what you're doing. As a result, her staff leaked its memo to the media at the time, Unfortunately, by then, no one was interested in the story. He said, interestingly, at the same time, A.G. Harris' husband was a partner at Venable, whatever that is, one of the HLF's top law firms. HLF has always been very savvy about managing its regulatory and legal risks. The whole situation is an incredibly damaging indictment of how our regulatory enforcement apparatus works, Ackman said of the settlement with the FTC, and Harris is ignoring the memo. Yeah, that's what she does. She ignores shit. Alright, welcome to the no man's land of random stuff I find on the internet that I find interesting. Honestly, we are going to be talking about two very serious topics first. So we're going to get into that. So jump into the trenches with me, in this section. But yeah. Okay, so there are two articles that are linked to this on Daily Wire. So I'm going to read both of them just to, see if there's any kind of pieces of information that I've missed since the last time I got informed, which was on the news at work again. But as much as I don't like mega churches in general, pastors in general, I'm going to set that, kind of hatred aside to talk about what happened at Joel Osteen's church at Lakewood in Houston, Texas. So someone had gone in and shot up the church. It was, I guess, they were shifting between services, so people who were at the 9 a.m. service were leaving, and people for the 10 a.m. service was going to go ahead and, or 11 a.m. service. I haven't been to a church in a long time, but yeah, this is what I'm going to be talking about. So I am not going to make any jokes. This is serious. So we're going to go ahead and read this real quick. Shooter carrying AR-15 emblazoned with Palestine shoots up Joel Osteen's megachurch. A woman carrying an AR-15 that had Palestine written on it started shooting up the megachurch of celebrity pastor Joel Osteen in Houston on Sunday, injuring one man before she was shot and killed by two off-duty officers working as security, police said. A young child with the woman was critically hurt in the shooting, and another man nearby was also wounded. Donna Hansen, chief of the felony division at the district attorney's office, said on Monday that the child was not expected to survive. That's terrible. The shooter, who was reported to be between 30 and 35 years old, entered the Lakewood Church, which is attended by 45,000 people weekly, roughly at 2 p.m., in a trench coat when she opened fire, Houston Police Chief Troy Finner said. The off-duty officers were 28-year-old Houston Police Department officer and a 38-year-old agent with the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. I want to commend these officers, she said, she had a long gun. She had a long gun and it could have been a lot worse, Finner declared. But they stepped up and they did their job, and I want to thank them for that. A federal law enforcement source said that the shooter had used an AR-15 that had Palestine written on it, CNN reports. The shooter, who had a backpack, threatened that she had a bomb, though law enforcement found no explosives either in her backpack or her vehicle. She was also sprayed. She also sprayed some type of substance on the ground, Finner said. Questions have emerged regarding the gender identity of the shooter, who, according to arrest records, had also identified as a man named Jeffrey in recent years. Listen, I said I was going to take this article seriously, but I don't understand why lately there has been a multitude of shootings with people who have either been transgender, because there was a shooting in a Catholic church. The shooter was transgender. There was a shooter that was supposedly part of the LGBTQ community, even though I didn't see any type of information. The only information I got that had any kind of minuscule credibility was from Candace Owens talking about this in Iowa, where a guy shot up his school. And now we have the Lakewood church, a woman who previously identified as a male. So I'm not sure why it is a trend now for people who are transgender or who are part of the LGBTQ community to shoot and be violent. I don't know whether that's an agenda that Daily Wire is, trying to push. But the thing is that other news outlets have also tried to push this agenda, whether it's I don't know. See, I don't believe that everybody from the LGBTQ community is bad, okay? You have some good people and you have some toxic people in any community at all. So I'm not saying that this stuff isn't true, but I see a pattern happening when it comes to acts of violence like this, and every one of them is either involved in the LGBTQ or they're transgender, and I would like to know why. Or that they have identified in a certain gender at the time before they decided to, hurt other people. Osteen said his community was devastated. We're devastated, Osteen said. We've been here 65 years, and to have somebody shooting at your church, I could only imagine if it would have happened during the 11 o'clock service, Osteen said, noting that the church was in between services and readying to go into a Spanish service. Oh, that's right. They were doing a Spanish translation service at that time, they were going to. Osteen issued a statement on X. Our community is devastated by today's events and grateful for the swift actions of law enforcement. May the healing hands of God touch the lives of everyone involved and provide comfort during this difficult time. In the face of such darkness, we must hold onto our faith and remember evil will not prevail. God will guide us through the darkest of times together, and we will rise above the tragedy, stand firm in our commitment to love and support one another in times like these. Our faith is tested, but it is also strengthened, and we don't always understand why things like this happen, but we know that God is in control. Please join me in continued prayer for healing and peace. Okay. So that was the first article. The next one is up right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through this as well. Houston church shooter previously went by male name. So hopefully this will kind of like clarify what I was talking about. But anyway, a shooter who opened fire in a Texas megachurch over the weekend previously used a male name, law enforcement records show. On Sunday afternoon, 36-year-old Janice Yvonne Moreno walked into Lakewood Church in Houston with a long gun and her young child and opened fire before being shot dead by law enforcement at the scene. Moreno, a woman previously identified as Jeffrey Escalante, Escalante, according to Texas Department of Public Safety records. The shooter had a criminal history back nearly 2 decades, to 2005, included arrests for failure to stop and give information, assault of a detention officer, assault causing bodily injury, forgery with counterfeit $100 bill, possession of marijuana, theft for stealing socks and cosmetics from a store, evading arrest, and unlawful carrying of a weapon. Wow. A man, 57, was shot in the leg and later released from the hospital. Moreno's 7-year-old son was also shot in the head and transported to the hospital in critical condition. It is not clear who fired the shot that injured the boy. Police have not yet announced a motive for the shooting. The shooter reportedly used an AR-15 with Palestine written on it. Houston Police Chief Troy Finner said Moreno arrived at the church in a white vehicle and entered just before 2 p.m. wearing a trench coat and a backpack. After the shooter began to fire, 2 off-duty law enforcement officers confronted her, ultimately fatally shooting her. Lakewood Church is led by high-profile evangelical pastor Joel Osteen and is located about 6 miles from downtown Houston. Osteen said at a press conference that the shooting occurred while in between services. The police chief also said Moreno claimed to have a bomb. Bomb squad found no evidence of explosives in the backpack. Court records show that Moreno had a connection to Lakewood Church. Her mother attended the megachurch, and according to her social media posts, the shooter may have attended as well. In 2022, Moreno went through a divorce and child custody battle. During that battle, her former mother-in-law, Wally Carranza, accused Moreno and her mother of keeping Moreno's son away from his father. Carranza said in the court records that she sought help from Lakewood Church staff, asking them about why Moreno and her mother were behaving this way. Carranza claimed Moreno was diagnosed with schizophrenia and Munchausen by proxy. She also claimed her former daughter-in-law had been investigated by Child Protective Services 4 times and twice found to have harmed her son. Carranza also said Moreno pointed a gun at her ex-husband and kept an unlocked handgun in a diaper bag. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for a second and just give you guys one quick PSA about mental health. I'm a recovery coach. I've been a recovery coach for 4 years. People come in and out of where I work at, and they have schizophrenia, they have depression, they have anxiety, they have this, and this. We have had some extreme people who I will not actually talk about, but you can imagine what me and my fellow staff members have kind of gone through when it comes to like extreme cases of mental health. So when someone is suffering from a mental illness, okay, yes, anyone with a mental illness can have thoughts of harming someone or harming themselves and all of that, and still not act on that thought, okay? It's just their mind being plagued of things that they don't want. And that is what we call a mental illness. That's what we call a mental illness. A lot of the times they have other ways of kind of classifying that type of mental illness, like homicidal thoughts and stuff like that. So, but usually, in most cases, they do not act on what they think or on what those intrusive thoughts tell them to do. Those thoughts challenged their character and they want help. People who do have these thoughts and don't think, they don't have the connection in their brain to say, this isn't me. This isn't something that I want in my head. And they end up acting on those terrible homicidal thoughts. That's when the mental illness, and it is a very, very thin line, okay? That is when the mental illness is no longer a mental illness, because a mental illness for most people are people who want help, but that mental illness, if it is not cared for in the proper way, can go into a criminally insane type of mentality. So I always tell my co-workers and the people that I work with all the time that there's a difference between mental illness and being criminally insane, okay? So when the mental illness graduates into criminally insane, there is no reason for society to call them mentally ill. It is another case entirely, because mentally ill people want help, criminally insane people do not. But yes, can a mental illness, if it's not taken care of properly, graduate into being criminally insane? Absolutely. Absolutely. We see that every day. We see that happen all the time on the news. And one of the big stigmas in mental health is that society calls people who act on these homicidal thoughts mentally ill. And that is not something that we should be saying. It's something that we should classify as criminally insane, whether or not it is stigmatizing to other people to be called that. Because if you act upon stuff like that, then you have to be put in that category, because you're also, people who are mentally ill, they get more stigmatized because, oh, I have thoughts like this, but even though I don't want to do this, I'm being compared to someone who's criminally insane, and that can make their mental illness worse. So that is something that I truly believe in, that people who are criminally insane can come from being mentally ill and wanting help, but if it's not taken care of properly, which is a very delicate situation to have when someone kind of like veers off the path of recovery to a point where there is no return. It is sad. It's terrible, and it does happen a lot. People who are criminally insane think that hurting someone is just a daily routine. Abusing someone, killing someone, raping someone, sexually abusing, molesting, any of that is under the category of being criminally insane. Crime evolves. It's not something that stays the same. And it isn't something that should be classified as a mental illness, because rapists, murderers, all of that, they don't have that connection in their in their brain to say, what I'm doing is wrong and I shouldn't be doing this. I need help. They don't want help. They have already gone off the deep end, and hurting someone or killing someone is just as normal as someone turning on the TV and eating breakfast in the morning to them. And it's terrible, but it's true. And the one thing that I just choose to tell my listeners is there is a difference between mentally ill and criminally insane. So this woman, unfortunately, though yes, she was troubled, she did not get the help that she needed. And that is partially because of the mental health field. There's a lot of restrictions with people who want to help others who are mentally ill. There's a lot of restrictions there. There's a lot of things that we can't do. So I won't say that the mental health field in Houston is to blame, because I don't know their principles. I don't know their regulations on how to take care of a person. But there's a difference. That's all I'm trying to say. This woman, unfortunately, did veer off the path of recovery. And that's how you get a criminal. Okay. The former mother-in-law tried unsuccessfully to become the managing conservator of the child. Marino's ex-husband is currently in prison in Florida for failing to register as a sex offender. Oh my God. Some of the shooter's ex-husband's family are Jewish. The police said that the anti-Semitic writings connected with the shooter. This might possibly be where it all stems from. Houston homicide. Commander Christopher Hassig said during press conference on Monday. On Instagram, the shooter once posted about a donation she made to Lakewood church, writing, "I will honor and bless my church." In other social media, she said that she was the founder of a real estate and financial services firm. The shooting at Lakewood Church comes amid growing concern about recent mass shootings carried by trans-identifying and non-binary shooters. Okay, Daily Wire, I see you. One of the most prominent cases occurred last year when a woman who identified as a man entered a Christian school in Nashville and murdered 3 children and 3 adults before she was killed by responding police officers. Reports on mass shootings typically do not name the shooter under Daily Wire policy, but in this case, the shooter's name is a vital part of a law enforcement record, and thus necessary to clear reporting of this story. Okay. Okay, so this next one is, of course, the Kansas City shooting that happened after the Super Bowl. I think it might have been the day after, but we'll find out. It was basically like the victory party afterwards. So, authorities charged 2 juveniles in connection to Kansas City Super Bowl parade shooting. 2 minors have been charged in connection to the deadly shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade earlier this week. Authorities announced on Friday the 2 juveniles who police did not identify were charged on Thursday and are being held on gun-related and resisting arrest charges at a juvenile facility. The New York Post reported a third minor was let go on Thursday after investigators determined that the person was not involved in the shooting. Thursday that determined that person was not involved in the shooting, according to a Kansas City Police Department spokesman. Okay. It is anticipated that the additional charges are expected in the future. The investigation by the Kansas City Police Department continues. The Jackson County, Missouri Family Court Division said in a statement, a 43-year-old man was killed and more than 20 people, including 11 children, were injured when gunfire erupted near the Union Station in Kansas City on Wednesday, turning a celebration into a nightmare. The KC Police Chief Stacey Graves said at a news conference on Thursday that authorities' initial findings on the shooting have shown that there was no nexus to terrorism or homegrown violent extremism. This appeared to be a dispute between several people that ended in gunfire, Graves said. Police detained 3 people immediately following the shooting and recovered firearms from the scene. More than 800 law enforcement officers were in and around Union Station when the shots rang out. Video posted on social media showed parade goers tackling a man who was running through the crowd immediately after the shooting. The bystanders pinned the man down for around 30 seconds before police officers arrived. The witness also said she saw a gun fall away from the man as he was tackled to the ground. It remains unclear if the person tackled by the parade goers is one of the juveniles who was charged in the connection of the shooting. Police identified Lisa Lopez Galvin as a victim who died from her gunshot wounds. Lopez Galvin was a DJ for Kansas City radio station and a mother of 2 children. Oh my God. It is with this... I don't know how to speak sometimes. It is with sincere sadness and extremely heavy, broken heart that we let our community know that KKFI DJ Lisa Lopez Galvin, host of Taste of Tejano, lost her life today in the shooting at the KC Chiefs rally. Radio station KKFI said, "Our hearts and prayers are out with the family. This senseless act has taken a beautiful person from her family and this KC community." There is a lot of articles about this. I don't know if I have enough time to cover them all. But I will say, I guess Taylor Swift donated $100K to the family of the woman killed during the Chiefs parade shooting. If that's really true, I love that. That's amazing. I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, but I mean, kudos to her. I'm not kudos, what in the world? I am very just grateful that she did that. Anyway, let's see if we can fit something a little bit more lighthearted now. Okay, well, for the, next one, I want to talk about Gen Alpha, which I've started kind of like learning stuff along the way. Like, whenever, I'm cleaning the house or something like that, I usually turn on YouTube, and I watched one of my favorite YouTubers. Her name is Tamimi. And Tamimi ended up covering something very interesting about Gen Alpha, which is the generation after Gen Z. So, they have bred this generation to be Class A consumers. It has gone... It's over the top. A lot of kids are seen getting like retinol creams, and they don't really need it. There's tons of kids being found in Ulta and Sephora, and they don't need any of these like creams. They just see their favorite TikToker use them, or they see their favorite YouTuber use them, and they want to be exactly like them. But the thing is that the kids are, like 5 to 8 years old, and they want to do get ready with me's online, and I'm just like, these children don't know how to actually be children. They all want nail polish and lipstick and makeup and facial creams and retinol creams, things to, prevent wrinkles and under eye bags. And I'm just like, you are 5, honey. Be a 5-year-old. Play with Barbies. Play with monster trucks. Or whatever you're interested in playing with, except for makeup. Like, I remember, what am I? I'm a millennial. So, I'm an elder millennial, people. Okay? Born in 1990. Anyway. But I used to play with my mom's makeup. I used to just like put, makeup on my stuffed animals. Did I get a whooping for it? Yes. But, I understand the fascination that kids have when it comes to makeup, especially young girls. So I understand, but having a parent buy these things for their kids isn't something that should be done. Like, I can understand, like, play makeup. A lot of girls want to, like, use play makeup and, do all of that. I understand that. There's places like Icing and Claire's that, sell, play makeup that, isn't really harmful to kids. But the thing is that even though, play makeup is a thing, still, it's not getting as much attention as it is as, like, Sephora and Ulta, because that is where most of, like, the beauty gurus from Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube end up going, and these kids end up watching these YouTube channels and these Instagram profiles. They follow them and all that stuff. The kids as young as 5 are getting their own, like, Instagram, and they want to be just like these beauty gurus that they see online, and I find that rather innocent. But when it comes to the child's safety, because retinol is harmful to a child's skin. It's not something that is made for a child. So yes, it can actually damage a child's skin. There are other, like, skin companies. I guess there's one called Drunk Elephant that has actually made kid-friendly, like, face washes. Which, to be honest, I find that very interesting that they have decided to make their own, like, child-friendly line in order to kind of, like, combat this issue. But the problem is that there are certain chemicals in any type of adult geared facial cream or whatever face wash that isn't safe for children to use. So I would urge the parents to actually look up these harmful chemicals that are actually used for adults, that aren't, harmful for adults, but are harmful to children. Like retinol is one of them. You don't want to use retinol on your child's skin. It will dry it out, and they'll have problems in the long run. Another is having acrylic nails for your young girls. That can actually really destroy the kid's nail bed. And there have been stories of young girls and young children having to have their whole nail bed reconstructed by surgery because they were using acrylic nails, and it just, they're children, okay? Their body is weak. It's not strong enough to actually withstand that type of pain, to where an acrylic nail, like a real acrylic nail, back in the day, 90s kid, had some press-on nails, like press-on ones, like the sticker ones, like the foam sticker ones. I thought I was $1 million, okay? But these are real acrylic nails that you use with nail glue that these kids are using. So I would just urge every parent to not let their kids, get involved in like the grown-up section of Sephora. Okay, most of it is, grown-up geared. Because a lot of people have reported saying that there are kids messing with the Try Me versions of these creams and stuff, and destroying everything on the shelf. That also is very bad for the store, because if the store isn't kept up on its beautification, their sales will go down. And if there's damaged products, they have to pull that and either sanitize it and put it in the clearance rack, which they would have to mark down if it isn't damaged to the point of no return, or they would have to literally soup it and throw it out.